Juice bar. Knicks. In the grinder. If we're being honest. 1-1 going back to Detroit. Raucous crowds in game 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to go through the recap of both games. The mindset going into Detroit. Who needs to step up? Jalen Brunson has been doing his thing. Let's jump right into it because I know we're going to run long here.
Oh, man.
Game 1, Knicks got smoked, dominated for 3 quarters. Outside of maybe the 6.5, 7 minute stretch, they even lost the back 3 minutes. They cut it to 6 in
So
game 1.
you're saying just the 21-0 run, that was it?
In game 1, that was legitimately the only good basketball the Knicks played.
So before game 2, you're smitten. They is stole a W correct? Or
Without question, game 1, they stole a W. How many times has the Knicks gone on a 21 run this season? Of course, Of course they stole the W in game 1. You could go into how the Pistons handled that, different things they could have done to kind of break that run up. But
shout out the crowd, too. I felt like the crowd was enormous.
The crowd has been enormous in both games. Then we get to game 2. It's deja vu. Pistons dominate the first quarter, second quarter, the third quarter, and the fourth quarter, the Knicks wake up a little bit. Well, not a little bit. They woke up.
Oh, yeah.
Tie game. It felt like they were going to steal the game again.
Yeah.
The problem with that big run in game 1 is that the attitude, even in our row in Madison Square Garden, was, they'll come back. They look terrible, but, they'll just wear them down and come back. And that's exactly what started to happen in the fourth quarter. But Schroeder hits the big 3, game over. When you zoom out, Pistons have dominated
15 to 6 or 7 of 8 quarters.
Without question for me.
That's what they're saying.
I mean,
I
agree with that.
Yeah.
From what I've been watching very intently.
Sure.
I watched back the fourth quarter in game 1, of course, for the run. I watched back. Anytime we go to a game, I always go back and watch it on TV because I get distorted a little bit sometimes being in the building. But, yeah, it translates across the board. The one thing that I want to talk about with especially game 2.
Yeah.
The boys are falling into exactly what the Pistons want them to do.
Oh, yeah.
They're mucking up the game. Brunson is overly focused on trying to get calls or get guys off of him. There's hands on Jalen Brunson 90 feet, 48 minutes. If he's in the game, if it's Schroeder, if it's Tim Hardaway Jr., if it's Cade, somebody's bumping him. If it's Asor Thompson, somebody's holding him. Little stuff in between plays.
And it's all by design.
And it's all this stuff is starting. It looked to me like it was pissing Brunson off.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, game 1, even Beasley knocking the ball out of his hand. They're doing the under the skin.
Without question.
But in this game, too, especially because we were in the arena, and I'm big on, and I'll go down with this take, but I thought, I'm sorry to be that guy, as the worst officiated game of the NBA playoffs. Across the board, I've watched every game, every quarter. It was like, when in international soccer, when a ref just doesn't have the game under control, it felt like that in addition to poor whistles. We were, and Harrison pointed out, we're all watching the game together. I mean, the game flow third quarter specifically was horrid. So, to your observation, in addition to poor game flow, I think even the crowd was getting, I don't know, would you call it antsy? But it was just like a really
frustrated. But it was coming into. I've been yelling this in this seat on the juice bar that I wanted to play Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Just because of this stuff. Now, I'm also on the record saying it's not going to be enough for them to beat the Knicks. But they can make things a lot more difficult, and that's exactly what we're seeing. The game flow gets who benefits from a smoother game flow? The Knicks.
Of course.
We get out, run offensively, they can't hang up.
Yeah.
Who benefits from a mucked up game plan? The Detroit Pistons. Yeah. And they have implemented it perfectly. If you go to Karl Anthony Towns, even his better game in game 1, he hit a lot of running floaters. And there wasn't a lot of easy buckets at the cup for Karl Anthony Towns in game 1.
Not at all.
That went to game 2, and he was not impactful at all. A ghost in the second half.
Well, we've talked about this. I got to throw it to you, and I'll let you speak on it because great observation. Last year's team, led by Brunson in the playoffs, is much different than this year's team. And I want to tee up for the fourth quarter thoughts because Brunson got his. Brunson got him back in the game.
Yeah.
But we are looking at a goose egg for Cat and a goose egg for Bridges in the fourth, and we got to talk that out.
Yeah, it's just not going to work. And it's not you could be as critical and as negative as you want. You're 1A. Brunson's one, the captain. Your 1A is Cat. He's in town to score at home in the playoffs. He doesn't
He's
do
only
that.
here to score.
He's it's true though.
Yeah.
He's here to stretch the floor, score. He doesn't do that. You're probably not going to win. It's almost like the Bridges stuff is important, but not as important as Cat.
Let me make a reference.
Yeah.
Luka can get his. Let's take Luka game one. Got off to a hot start. Didn't really ingratiate his teammates like he did in game two. On that kind of notion, Brunson, we know, Sean, can get his at any point. Is it 5-10 times more impactful for him to make an emphasis to get the boys involved early and often so that when the fourth quarter comes, the trust is there, the rhythms are there, and thus we're not banking on boom or bust from JB?
Yeah, it is. And what I took away from the physicality thing is, and this might sound harsh, but this is the truth from my eyes. Brunson feels the physicality, the antics, continues to attack, continues to bang until the horn blows.
Yeah.
Cat starts to feel some of the physicality, and he starts to fade a little bit. He doesn't look for it anymore. It's almost like that physicality is starting to win out. Them leaning on him is starting to win out versus Brunson is fighting tooth and nail till the end with the physicality, with the antics.
Great observation.
So
now, but are you asking, to your point, though, we talk about Carl, are you asking him in that moment in real time to do something he's not used to doing? Which is like, even if it's just on the offensive side, be physical in the enforcer. Forget about the defensive side. Can you impose your will on offense when we need to just get going? And that is a question we got to ask looking ahead to game 3.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course. Get the ball on the block,
but
bang around, get to the line. 0 shot attempts?
Yeah.
Remember how I always bring up how you have to be a special guy to go 2 for 19?
Yeah.
Like, that is – I'm not joking.
Yeah.
That is a real thing. For you to continue to get the rock and put it up over and over when nothing's going in, the mentality is you're just a different guy. That's what I mean. It's almost like, man, they're being so physical. I can't really get to my spots. And then on the flip side, Brunson's like, I'm getting to my spot no matter what. And I'm going to try
100%.
my best no matter what.
Which was last year's MO, right?
Yes. And the Bridges thing is he just missed open shots. I mean, there was a lot of open looks he just couldn't knock down.
Yeah, I'm not going to come down on him for that.
It's difficult when, you have shooting variance involved in the league and,
But 0 for 0 for you is just unacceptable.
You're at home in a comfy atmosphere, and this is like, if you're missing those open shots, like what can we expect from you in Game 3 in Detroit? But it's just variance a lot of the time. He's getting, you know what you have to do to get an open look? You got to be in the right spot. You got to rotate. You got to move without the ball. Bridges constantly does that.
Yeah.
Can you knock him for not knocking down shots? Sure. Like, for example, the shot to tie the game.
Great look.
He's moving without the ball the whole possession. Brunson gets jammed up and looks up, and guess who's open for a look, moving without the rock? Mikal Bridges. So you have to give him a little bit of credit for that. Being 1A and not getting any attempts is unacceptable, and Cat knows that. Everybody knows that. He'll be better, and he'll show up in Game 3. But
yeah,
the focus of Detroit is attack on offense and defense. It's clear Bickerstaff told Cade Cunningham, don't worry about passing the ball, brother. Get the ball off the rim and get downhill and either get to the free throw line or you'll probably end up having a good look.
Hey, shout out you who said under on Cade Dimes.
We were talking about kind of like the game flow, right? And me and Monaco always talk bets through and what we're looking at. And
guy was on it.
And to be fair to Monaco, I thought the Knicks, that run would wake them up, and it'd be like, man, these boys are serious. Let's go ahead and take care of business in game 2. And it was the opposite. And Monaco was like, I'm a little more worried than you are. And we started talking about Cade coming off a bad game, and I was like, if anything, I think he's just going to be attacked first. And that's exactly what it was. But then on defense, it's the same thing.
Well, I got to ask you about the rebounds, and not to be that guy, but we got to go back to, old school fundamentals here. And RE, the Tibbs press conference, missed shots are going to happen. Whistle's going to go the way it's going to go. But rebounding is effort, and that's something we can control. And Sean, I mean, that was a display. But 48-34, out-rebounded at your place, that's a statement, and that is almost the game within the game. I expect that to be a little more, even in the box score for game 3. I think that is something you can control. I don't see these boys not crashing the boards. I see everybody, I could see a Hart, Cat, 25 boards between the two of them type game 3. What say you?
Yeah, I mean,
and this was without Stu too, right? So
this is without Stu.
We'll see what happens.
So like Mitch is a good rebounder, Cat's a good rebounder, Josh Hart's a good rebounder. Those are the 3 guys on the team. Like, to go back to the Milwaukee thing, the reason you wanted to see them is they're not as physical and they're not as big. When you look at the Pistons, everybody is big and long and athletic. Like, Asur Thompson is long and athletic.
I know. Even when they bring in their backups, Ron Holland.
They're all long and athletic, and to be honest, like, nasty on purpose. They can't beat you in a half court 1-on-1. They don't have enough talent. They know that, but they have one guy that's really good, and they just try to smother you. When it comes to defense, Cat's gonna have to bang with Jalen Duren harder than he's banging with him right now. Yeah. Period. Mitch is gonna have to bang with Jalen Duren more than he is. Jalen Duren pregame had the Ben Wallace shirt on, and he lived up to that. And he lived up to that. He's a problem. Cade rebounds too.
Hey,
Cade is
12,
like the baby Luka thing is real for Cade. Like, he kind of looks like that. He rebounds. He gets out in transition. Jalen Duren's pure focus is to rebound.
No, I mean, you're really making some good points. Now, I got to go back to this, and the NBA comes out with a report in the last 2 minutes, as they often do. And that Josh Hart, they come all the way back to tie at 94. Foul. And they don't call the foul. And we're, what is that, 4-point swing? Because that's no timeout. Go down the other way. 4-point swing. I guess you got to live with that. But is there anything looking ahead to game 3 from that lens that maybe the Knicks, I mean, if we're doing that thing?
I think Cat said it best. He's like, you can't really worry about free throw disparity. You can't really worry about refs chirping.
I'm bothered that the Pistons had 15 more free throws on the road, and no other series had that.
Sure,
but I gotta call that.
But like, let's be real here. And our guy Pete pulled some really good numbers. On average, the Pistons shot 22.3 free throws a game. That's 11th in the NBA. The Knicks are 23rd in free throw attempts. They don't Detroit gets to the line more. Period, all day long. Right? That's what they've been doing all year. So that's also a big part of it. Now, for all the skeptics talking about Brunson's a free throw merchant, Brunson this, Brunson that, perfect example of talking about Josh Hart. The reason Jalen Brunson acts like that is because that's how a lot of the times you get calls. If Josh Hart dunks that and falls into the first row, he might get a call. Like, that's kind of the issue here, right? And I tweeted that, like, similar to what you said, I think the crowd, honestly, we've been to some, like, big playoff games. That game 2 in the comeback, it was
bonkers,
deafening in there, like extremely loud. And I think part of it was the refs were trying to get control of the game, and like the crowd was affecting that quite a bit. So the antics on top of the crowd, on top of trying to deal with, every play someone barking at you, it's
so
a
that
tough atmosphere.
But the crowd was so loud they let that go.
No. I'm saying, like, there's a lot going on, so they're maybe calling a tic-tac here and missing an actual foul there. But for the skeptics on the Jalen Brunson thing, he just gets to the free throw line, and SGA as well. Most points scored without free throws in the year 2024. Jalen Brunson's number one at 1766. SGA is 1758. So these guys, I'm not in the grifter crowd. I think it's a skill. Maybe what Brunson was doing the other night was a little much, but I think it was warranted with how he was being treated.
Well, if you're on the 3-point line, you got a guy
if
in the air. You bang into him all day.
If everywhere you're going, you're getting pushed or you're getting bumped, it's just a way to combat that.
Yeah, he's also a running back frame as a point guard, so he takes significantly more contact than some of these string being lads.
Big body Brunson, yeah,
absolutely. But yeah, I mean, looking ahead here.
No, you tell me, what's your mindset going into Game 3?
Mindset's got to be the Knicks got to play their game and impose their will on their court. And this is, as I always say, a high school cafeteria game. They're the upperclassmen. These are the freshmen. The freshmen punked at recess the upperclassmen. Go in, you've won series before. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of veterans, Tobias, Malik, sure. But the core three are young dudes, and Bickerstaff's.
They don't even have a core three. Like, you know what I mean? They don't have a core three.
I guess they're young. They're young three. But in all seriousness, it's Brunson going out of his way to get these guys ingratiated early, and I think Cat's got to be the focal point. Get Cat running downhill, getting to the line, and crashing the boards, things you can control. But, I mean, on the number side of things, the Knicks, we talk about it all the time on Inside the Lines. They're a top 3 straight-up team off a loss, 22-9 on the season. They're also 24-17 on the road, and the Pistons are the same record they were at home as they were on the road. It's going to be loud in Motown. I imagine, they broke a 14-game losing streak in the playoffs with that win. But this is a good, from a betting lens, I'm all in on Knicks' money line. I'm not sure if you've printed the slip yet, as you would say. Yeah. But I love a Knicks money line, and as far as the trajectory of this series, might not be Knicks in 5, but I still wouldn't be surprised if they
Let me see how much it costs to get into Little Caesars Arena right here.
They're only letting people from Detroit in.
I don't care. That's fine.
The versatility of lids.
Let me see. What the game is on Tuesday? When's the game?
Thursday. Tomorrow. Oh, I saw you can get in and a flight and a hotel for the same price as the mezzanine.
Well, yeah.
I mean, Knicks Muse, I think, did it. It's like $314.
Let's see.
For a flight, a hotel in Motown, and a ticket. If we weren't taping, I'd go.
Oh, that's not too bad. StubHub upper deck, you can get in for $138.
That's crazy.
That's still not bad for Detroit, though.
No, that's Mets Phillies.
Let me see.
In April.
It's true.
If you want to sit mid-court section, 122, $787.
You guys know anyone going?
You could sit courtside for $3,000.
And just take the Knicks on the money line for 3 bands and go.
You could sit baseline for $1,100. That's pretty cheap.
That's pretty cheap.
Yeah, for a baseline NBA playoff ticket.
For
the first time being in the playoffs in 15 years.
Well, Game 7, Pacers Knicks second round was over 45,000.
17 years, 18 years, whatever it is.
One ticket.
Yeah. So
we got the scoop.
It's gonna be raucous in there, no doubt. I think the mentality is you just can't back down. Period. Every possession, every antic they throw, you throw. And it's a double-edged sword because that kind of gets them out of their game a little bit, but more in the sense of no nonsense.
Well, let me ask you before we wrap here and get out, micro, macro, high level, Knicks get past this Pistons team. Do you like them? Because Boston's not as physical as Detroit. Maybe Cleveland's close. I'd say Orlando is someone that's closer to Detroit basketball of who's left. But they're not going to see Orlando.
I don't think there is a team like Detroit left.
So I just think this is a unique test for these boys. But if you can get past physicality in round 1, almost like Mario getting a Bowser, what do you think they grow and take away from this test? Because this is a real test.
Well, I don't think too much, but maybe brings out a little bit more dog physicality wise, like some of the squad from last year. So maybe that's what it brings out. But I will say, this is the mindset final answer here is get off to a good start. If you get off, you can't mess around and get physical and do all this stuff down 7-8 points in the second half. When you're up,
Not on the road.
when you're up, you could do a lot of extra stuff and get
Yeah.
guys out of their rotation, whatever. But if you're down and that offense just starts to lean on you and Cade misses a couple shots, next thing you know, look, let's be honest. In game one, it was an anomaly Tobias Harris did what he did in the first half, scored 22 points. Tim Hardaway Jr. scored 0 points in game two. He had 19 in game one. So for you to fade those two guys were an anomaly. They put you in the spot for game one. You end up fading them and getting the W. Game two, Cade goes off.
Yeah.
I expect something in the middle from Tim Hardaway Jr. I expect something in the middle from Tobias. If you could slow up Cade early and get to the first quarter, 4 or 5 point lead, for halftime, 6-7 point lead, you'll just eventually out-talent them and out-skill them offensively. They won't be able to keep up. So a good start is the mindset.
I like it. And one last thing for you on the way out here. Any role player for the Knicks you see stepping up, a deuce, someone giving them double digits that maybe doesn't, Mitch.
It's
Someone's got to give them 10, 12-ish.
Campaign got in foul trouble in game two. That hampered any spark that he would have had.
Minutes,
he had 3 fouls ASAP.
Yeah.
When he played. He only played 4 minutes. He was the reason they won game one, without question. I saw the perfect meme split of, remember in The Last Dance of Michael Jordan's with the baseball bat, and he's like, sign of a good man is when they're talking trash and they're losing. That's what Campaign was doing in game one. They were down 8 points. He was yelling at people, spit flying out of his mouth. It was actually awesome.
It's awesome.
And that sparked them on that run and to win the game in game one. That can be Deuce. That could be Cam. That could be Shamet. It could be any number of guys that get the minutes. All 3 of those guys can impact. It just depends on who gets it done. But to Campaign's credit, throughout the year, he's been more of a spark than people have been giving him credit for. So
Yeah.
I would love to see Cam stay out of foul trouble and continue to have an opportunity to set that apart. He's one of those guys that, if he was getting starter minutes, he's a guy that could go 3 of 15, 3 of 16. He would continue.
100%.
He would continue to put up shots, and
Shoot.
it's
So you got Knicks in
special thing.
Knicks in 6, Knicks
Yeah,
in 5.
I mean, it's got to be bumped up to one more game. I think
right.
I think the Pistons have to get one at home. I think they have employed a game plan that is working, and their confidence has to be through the roof. So
All right. So you
I
got
would
Knicks in
expect
6.
them to bring top level game at home. I'll say Knicks in 6.
Yeah. I'll rock with you on that.
And look out, because Jaylen Brown's getting knee injections. Tatum has a lingering wrist. Porzingis was a no-show, but who knows what happens with him. Next thing you know, the team coming out of this series may be able to make a little more noise than we thought. If Brunson can't, or if Tatum can't play, or if Brown starts to show a little wear, someone else ends up getting more minutes.
Derek White can't give you 20.
This is how these things work.
Yeah.
Derek White goes from playing 33 minutes to 43. He starts to get worn down because Tatum's not on the floor. JB gets more minutes because his knee is out because he's trying to backfill Tatum. Then Tatum's out for a week, and we think we could sit Tatum here one more game because we'll get. And next thing you know, the series is on its head. Remember when the Bucks 2 years ago were playing the Heat and they sat Giannis
Yeah.
and he got cleared? They were playing Miami. Like
Miami's
we'll just sit him here. It'll be
first
fine.
round.
Yeah, it's game one. Like, we'll be fine. And then they lost. And then they were like, I think they won game 2. And then they were like, yeah, we'll just sit Giannis one more game. They end up losing the series.
Yeah.
So stuff can start to get spooky. So stay tuned on that. But yeah, Knicks in 6.
All right, Knicks in 6.
Let's go. Juice Bar MSG Network. If you want the realness, the straight takes, come hang out with us. We go through everything from narratives to actual gameplay to breaking down numbers in the betting market. Alex Monaco, Sean Little, come hang out with us. Wherever you get your podcasts, you can get the Juice Bar.